say, we have an obligation to study God's Word, and when the opportunity presents itself, teach that Word to someone. I have not a big problem, but a little consternation that when someone who has been a saint for X number of years, who's had some reasonable time to mature in the Lord, that if they're put on the spot, when the Bible says to be instant in season, out of season, again, it ain't just talking to pastors. It ain't just talking to preachers. It's talking to the church, talking to believers, to be instant in season and out of season, to be ready. John said to be ready to give every man an answer for what you believe. If you can't give a clear-cut answer as to who you believe in and why you believe what you believe, you better get your nose in this book. Now, I don't mean to sound rough, but that's just the truth. You need to get your nose in this book. If someone asks you, are you a Christian? You say, yeah. Well, now, what do you believe? What are you going to tell them? Well, why do you believe that way? It's one thing to tell them what you believe, but then tell them why you believe it. We are to study His Word. That's part of the New Testament priesthood responsibility. What's that got to do with the Holy Ghost? Everything. Because He's your teacher. He's your guide. He will lead you into all truth, Jesus said. And so it's got everything to do with the Holy Spirit. So through Christ, the church has become the spiritual Israel of God, each member fulfilling a priestly role. Now, I want to reiterate again. I'm trying to speak in tongues already. I want to reiterate again. I am not talking about replacement theology. Okay? God still has a plan for Israel. We're seeing that on the forefront of history right now. That God still has a plan for Israel. And listen, how do you explain their being reestablished as a nation back in 1948 after almost 1900 years of non-existence? If God still doesn't have a plan for them. I mean, how in the world can anyone who purports to replacement theology and say that God no longer has a plan for Israel, Israel's out of the picture, that Israel, they really got the cart before the horse, because prophetically speaking, the scriptures, prophetically speaking, the United States ain't mentioned. Prophetically speaking. So, how do you explain all that? In this priestly role, the individual is to maintain proper ties to the larger body of the church. But Israel, 1900 years of virtual non-existence. And then in 1948, they come back to Jerusalem, to Israel, and reform as a nation. If God didn't have a plan for them, there's no way humanly that could have happened.